Welcome back. All right, it is time to talk about the Winnipeg Jets, rounding out my look at teams that lost in the second round of the playoffs this year. And the Winnipeg Jets, there were grand hopes that they wouldn't be here again. We're going to look at things going all the way back to 2017, 2018, because it feels like this team has been pretty good. They've been pretty good. They're an excellent regular season team. They just don't get over the hump come playoff time. And we're not going to see a change in general manager, Kevin Cheveldayoff, who's up for the Jim Gregory Award for GM of the Year. He's sticking around. Scott Arniel, coach, he's up for the Jack Adams Award for Coach of the Year. So he's not going anywhere. But there could be some big changes when it comes to players on the ice. Nick Ehlers is the one that probably ends up leaving. It's very likely. They're going to try everything they can. But it's likely at this point that Ehlers checks out the free agent market and other teams may be able to offer more money than what Winnipeg may be able to offer. Even though they have a bunch of cap space, that's going to get eaten up pretty quickly. So looking at their trajectory over the years, back to 2017, 2018, a very successful season, 52, 20, and 10, 114 points. They finished second in the NHL behind Nashville, who were the President's Trophy winners, and they got all the way to the conference final, where they lost 4-1 against Vegas. The interesting thing with that series was they won game one, and then it kind of fell apart after that, which has been a storyline with the Winnipeg Jets. 2018, 2019, they dropped down to 47, 30, and 5, 99 points. They lost in the first round against St. Louis in 6. The home team lost every single game until game 6. St. Louis won one game at home, won them the series. 2019, 2020, 37, 28, and 6 record for the Jets, 80 points. They lost in the qualifying round against Calgary. The bigger Calgary Flames definitely used their size to their advantage. They won that series 3-1 because it was a best of 5 in the qualifying round and knocked out the Jets. 2020, 2021, playing into the North Division, 30, 23, and 3 record for 63 points. They got a four-game sweep in the first round to, move on to the second round where they got swept by Montreal. So they sweep Edmonton and they get swept by Montreal. 2021, 2022, 39, 32, and 11 record, 89 points. No playoffs that year for the Winnipeg Jets. 2022, 2023, 46, 33, and 3 record, 95 points. And they lost in the first round against Vegas 4-1, a series that they started okay and then it all fell apart. 2023, 2024, they finished 52, 24, and 6, 110 points. And they lost in the first round against Colorado 4-1. They started the series well and it fell apart as it went along. 2024, 2025, 56, 22, and 4 record, 116 points. And they lost in the second round against Dallas 4-2 as their road losing streak became a major problem for this team. Playing okay at home, but not playing okay on the road, and so they end up out in 6, losing on the road in that game 6 rather than forcing a game 7, which could have made things really, really interesting, but they don't get to that game 7. So their cap space July the 1st is $26,463,810 according to Puckpedia. So lots of cap space there, but it's going to get spoken for. They don't have a second round pick from 2025 through 2027. They don't have a fourth round pick either over the next 3 years. And their pending free agent list is notable. Unrestricted free agents, Ehlers is the big name there. Tony Nato is also pending unrestricted free agent. Appleton, good third liner for the Winnipeg Jets. Be smart to bring him back. I thought Tanev looked pretty good in his return to the team. Fleury gave them some good depth defense. And Drieger. So if you're like, Chris Drieger's in Winnipeg, well, not anymore. He's going to market. Restricted free agents, Gabriel Velarde. They need to sign Velarde. They need to figure out a long-term contract with Velarde. I would say 5 or 6 years. Ideally, I don't think 8 years, but man, there are so many 8-year contracts, you never know. Morgan Barron, one of the more underrated fourth liners in the National Hockey League. Rasmus Kupari and Sandberg. And of course, Sandberg, they're going to want to get him signed long-term. He is a huge part of the future on this blue line as well as the present, so you want to make sure he's locked down for a while. Now, when we look at their current contracts, they don't really have an egregious contract on this team. They just don't. Scheifele, $8.5 million cap hit till 2031. That's a bargain for the production Scheifele provides, especially with some of the cap numbers that are getting thrown about with some of the guys who are hitting the free agent market this summer. The whole Sam Bennett $10 million a year cap hit is one that comes to mind. If that comes to pass, it makes Scheifele look like a huge bargain. Connor, $7.14 million cap hit for one more year. Next year, he'd be an unrestricted free agent. He's going to be pricey. As much as Ehlers is going to get a raise over the $6 million cap hit he got this year, Connor's going to be really pricey next summer. So it is in the Jets' best interest to sit down with him this summer and get that figured out. Pionk, $7 million cap hit till 2031. I'm very proud of Pionk's development, and he's been a very good top two defenseman for Winnipeg. Morrissey, $6.25 million cap hit till 2028. How much can I talk about these contracts being bargains? And Hellebuck, $8.5 million cap hit till 2031. Pretty decent cap hit for a goaltender who may very well win. He's going to win the Vezina, we know that. But he's up for the Hart, and it feels like he's got a chance at maybe winning the Hart Trophy as well. So, Hellebuck had quite the year, but then we get to the playoffs, and we will discuss that. Now, there are some upcoming players that will help with the spots in this roster that are currently vacant. At least come July the 1st, they'll be vacant. Braden Yeager, Brad Lambert, Colby Barlow, Elias Salamonson on the blue line, and Kieran Walton. All seen as pretty good prospects. The likelihood is, I would think they give Lambert a look out of camp. Salamonson, it's going to depend on how the depth on their blue line looks and whether or not they want to put him in there right off the bat. But at least off the bat this coming season, or if you want to bring him in mid-season kind of thing. But with defense, you can take your time. We'll see who ends up being on this team. Barlow, it doesn't look like made a lot of progress this year statistically, but you never know. Maybe his game got better. At any rate, Barlow's seen as a pretty good prospect for the Winnipeg Jets as well. Now, getting into the numbers from this year, Kyle Connor, 82 games, 41 goals, 56 assists, 97 points. It's a shame he didn't get to 100 points. It is difficult to reach that level, though. In the playoffs, he was very good. 13 games, 5 goals, 12 assists, 17 points. Then you've got Scheifele, 82 games, 39 goals, 48 assists, 87 points. Point per game, Scheifele. And in the playoffs, point per game. 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points in 11 games. Standard. Very steady. The production from Scheifele is remarkable. Then you got Ehlers, 69 games, 24 goals, 39 assists, 63 points. In the playoffs, he played 8 games due to injury. 5 goals, 2 assists, 7 points. Ehlers is an excellent two-way forward, and he's going to get a ton of interest July the 1st, just a ton. If they can't keep away to sign him, and I know the Jets have talked about moving heaven and earth to keep him. I just don't know that they can. Josh Morrissey, 80 games, 14 goals, 48 assists, 62 points in the playoffs. 6 assists in 12 games. You might want a goal, but I thought Morrissey was pretty good. And of course, he got injured the game before their final game of the season. Velarde, he got hurt in their last game of the season, right? Because they said he wouldn't have been back for the rest of the playoffs had they been able to force a game 7 and maybe move beyond. Velarde, 71 games, 27 goals, 34 assists for 61 points in the playoffs. Just 9 games played, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. Perfetti, 82 games, 18 goals, 32 assists, 50 points. Definitely took that next step this year, and in the playoffs, 13 games, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. One thing that I will say for Winnipeg is there is definitely a reason here for optimism. So they win the President's Trophy this year. I don't think they're going to be significantly weakened next year. So even if you lose Ehlers, let's just say Ehlers goes to market, and what the heck, so do Appleton and Tanev. There's some good depth in their forward group. There's some guys that can get signed. And then if those guys leave, it does still leave them some money to pick up other forwards as well. For all of the talk about Winnipeg and whether or not it's a viable market and all this, they generally haven't had a hard time finding players to come in and play for them. And they've been pretty good with players they've drafted and keeping them around for a long time. Like even Ehlers going to unrestricted free agency. But he's been signed to this contract with them for, I think it was a 6-year, $36 million contract he's just finishing up. So they're pretty good at keeping their draft picks, and their development of players has been solid throughout the years. So I don't feel like there's any danger of them falling off soon. But that being said, they're going to want to make some more progression than what we saw from them in the postseason this year. Regular season's been great. Now, Hellebuck, this is a bit of a concern. This has to be a bit of a concern for Winnipeg going forward. I don't know how you fix it. Goaltending is as much between the ears as it is between the posts, right? It really is. So, 2018 Hellebuck's numbers, he goes 9-8 with a 922 save percentage. Really strong run. 2019 a 2-4 record, but a 913 save percentage. So he still played well there against St. Louis. 2020 he goes 1-3 with a 904 save percentage. 2021 he goes 4-4 with a 931 save percentage. So no concern in his playoff numbers there, but the following seasons where that concern has to start to creep in. 2023, so they missed the playoffs in 2022. 2023, he goes 1-4 with an 886 save percentage in that series against Vegas. 2024, 1-4 with an 870 save percentage in that series against Colorado. And how that's memorable is because they lit up Georgiev in the first game, and then the rest of the way, it's Hellebuck that got lit up. 2025, he goes 6-7 this year, 866 save percentage, even though he had 2 shutouts in the playoffs. His numbers against St. Louis were not good. His numbers against Dallas, the same outside of shutouts. And his track record on the road is abysmal in the playoffs over the last few years, as is the rest of the Winnipeg Jets. But you need your goaltender to steal you a road game, and Hellebuck has not been able to do it. And I really think it's psychological, and the reason being, the pucks that are getting past him in the postseason don't get past him during the regular season. A lot of those goals, not that they were bad goals, but by his standard, they're bad goals. By Hellebuck's standard, absolutely bad goals that I think he would admit he would normally stop. So I don't know how you turn that around, because this is a team that should still be a playoff team next year, even if they lose Ehlers, because they are this good. I think they should at least be a 100-point team again next year. But if you can't get Hellebuck right come playoff time, it's not going to matter. And that's really where this is at. Now, it's not all Hellebuck. The defense in front of him certainly didn't bail him out at certain times. And they weren't getting the goal production at times against Dallas either. But there definitely seems to be a block with this whole team when they're playing a road game. And there's a block with Hellebuck just in general come playoff time that is kind of difficult to decode and figure out. Because each season over the last 3 years, the finger's been pointed at Hellebuck. Obviously, they're not going to trade the Vezina winning goaltender. They're not Vegas back when he won the Vezina and then they traded him to Chicago. That's not going to happen with Hellebuck. But there's reason to be concerned if you're Winnipeg that all of these regular seasons that have been pretty darn good don't ultimately matter because you're not getting very far in the playoffs. There is the conference final appearance in 2018. It's been 7 years since then, and we have not seen them in the conference final since. So we'll see how it goes. One question mark is, do they overplay Hellebuck? I think there's some value to that idea that Hellebuck's overplayed during the regular season. Their backups during this era have been Brossoit, who I thought could have played more games than he did. Comrie, this year, I thought Comrie played well enough to get more starts than he did. Riddick was their backup goaltender for a while. I'm still a fan of Riddick and I hope he turns things around, but I will admit his numbers have not been fantastic. So I can't stand here and say Riddick should have got more games when he was the backup for Winnipeg. And Steve Mason, you go all the way back to 2018, Steve Mason's on the board as well. So they need a I don't want to say, okay, more of a 1A, 1B type backup goaltender. Somebody who can play 30 to 35 games. And I think it would be smart for the Jets to sit down with Hellebuck this summer and talk to him about this approach and say, we want to start you less so you're fresher come playoff time and work on it from there. If you have a really good goaltending tandem where there's no ego, where if one goaltender's out playing the other and that goaltender that's suddenly the backup instead of the starter's not upset, or he's playing less, he's still the starter, he's playing less, he's not going to be upset about it, I think that benefits the team. And we haven't really seen that with the Jets. I'm not saying anything bad about Comrie, just we haven't seen that camaraderie that we've seen elsewhere when it comes to the starter and the backup. Looking at Edmonton, who are still in the playoffs, you see Skinner and Pickard, they talk a lot of discussion, and you can see that. And it's odd because Skinner and Pickard, we can both look at and say, are they actually top 10 goaltenders in the NHL? And probably not. But come playoff time, they find a way to get it done. It also helps that they have guys in front of them who bail them out when they're not having a fantastic game, which the Jets, as I said, have not necessarily had at this point. So, let me know your thoughts. If you're a Jets fan, do you believe that this team's going to get over the hump? Teams have won the President's Trophy and then won the Stanley Cup after. So you don't win the Stanley Cup the year you get the President's Trophy, but you can win it after. The Florida Panthers are having another ridiculous season in the postseason after winning the Cup last year. But prior to that, they did have a President's Trophy and then no success in the playoffs that year, followed by plenty of success afterwards. So maybe Winnipeg can be the next. But let me know your thoughts. I think it'd be great if Winnipeg went on a nice long run and won a Stanley Cup. I think that'd be fantastic. But my belief in that is definitely shaken. It'll be interesting to see what general manager Kevin Shoveldayoff does this offseason. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a lot. I will talk to you again soon.